Hi! Every time we start this, I find that I hate it a little bit less every time, which is a good thing, I think, at least for us. It's just another episode of BDSM. Tune out if you're smart. Otherwise, just hang on. We're just gonna start with our regular lineup for the day. A few meager changes from what I've heard. The rumors being passed around the podcasting room. But we will start with Julius has a story for us in Today in the Universe.
Okay, so how many of you have had squash before? Like the drink, like orange squash or like lemon squash. I don't know what kind of squash
The drink. I wasn't aware there was a drink.
It's a British drink, so it's a very popular British drink.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a man that's become outraged because he found out that his girlfriend puts in water first before adding the squash.
This made the news.
This caused huge uproar on Great Britain's Reddit pages, and people were freaking out because they couldn't believe that somebody would have the audacity to do something like that. And so the proper way to do it is adding the squash first and then the water.
Oh, of course.
How could she be so simple-minded and imbecilic?
She's a pleb. But
is that where it ends?
What?
Is that the whole story?
Yeah. He wrote on the Reddit page, "My girlfriend puts in the squash after the water, and I don't know how to feel." And lots of people supported him on this. So I'm going to say this is a big deal, and it's unacceptable.
Should honestly break up with her.
I know. I think it's just horrible.
Has he not already?
No, he hasn't. But here's somebody else. Somebody said, "I do this too. I like to watch it swirl and spread through the water. It's kind of relaxing to me. I know this is odd. Ha ha." So, for all you people out there that want to drink squash first and then water.
I don't know who's more stupid, the girl for putting in water first or the guy for still being with her at this point.
Okay.
Okay, but what is the drink? I still am at a loss as to what the drink is.
It's like a lemonade kind of style drink.
Does it involve the
vegetable squash?
No, not that. It's like
I thought
sport?
Okay, I was like,
Wait,
this was
why do you
gross.
need to add water?
Wait, what's?
Well, because it's like a concentrate. You put the concentrate in, and then
you can see he's pouring some red syrup in it.
Yeah, it's a nice picture.
That would have been nice to know, Julius.
Yeah, I thought they were just putting like a fruit in a glass.
I'll tell you, I was trying to figure out if it was the sport or the vegetable, and it was neither.
Does it taste
Trick
any
question.
different if you do one step before the other? Or
Well, it's kind of getting the ratio right, which is pretty important.
Oh, I guess so.
Well, anyway, Scott, what do you have for us?
All right, so my story comes out of Mumbai, where a man set the Guinness World Record for fastest time to drink an entire bottle of ketchup in 25.37 seconds.
Is like how big a bottle are we talking?
Like
huge or?
500 grams, I believe. So like it's like a solid regular bottle. It's not bad. And he actually measured the straw he used. It was a 6 millimeter straw, a wide, not long. And yeah, I honestly think he could have done it in under 20, but he kind of hit a rough patch around 20 seconds. So
what happened?
He just looked like he was maybe choking a little bit. needed a deep breath or something. It was a solid performance though. I really enjoyed watching it.
And
So it was a glass bottle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been fast? You had like the squeezy bottle. You just lean back and just squeeze it in.
That would have been.
I think straws are pretty efficient. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because squeezy ball, you have to squeeze and then let it like fill up again with air and then squeeze again.
And what if his wrist got sore?
Yeah, but there's nothing better than like a nice cold glass of ketchup. So.
It's a fun fact: ketchup is not a smoothie.
Okay, there we
Thank
are.
goodness.
Yeah. I just thought you guys should know.
I was wrong all my life, I guess. I always thought it was a smoothie. Okay, Brennan, what's your story?
All right, well, all I have to say to start it off is 500,000 bees die in Iowa vandalism. 2 boys charged.
Good job. You can read.
Thank you, Julius. This is why we talk about removing you from the podcast.
Okay.
Okay, no. So Justin and Tori Engelhart are a husband and wife, and they're beekeepers in Sioux City, Iowa. And they had waken up to discover that all their beehives had been smashed. You want to tell the story, Julius?
No.
I'm not just reading it, I'm embellishing it. Okay. So they discovered that there are 50 beehives and they contained about 500,000 bees, and it's a $60,000 worth of damage, which is pretty huge. They'd started their business about 6 years earlier, and so 2 young boys, which were found, I believe, a week later, had just, for a reason that has not been disclosed, smashed their 50 beehives, kicked some of them over, and this is in the dead of winter, so the bees can't survive without their hive. No chance, unlike in the summer, they could possibly migrate to a new hive. Well, you got something funny to say,
I
Julius?
was gonna ask, why would they kick a beehive?
That's what they're trying to find out. It says it right in the
No, but
story.
like, isn't that like suicidal? Like the moment you kick it, or don't all the bees just come out and want to kill you?
Well, the boys are 12 and 13 years old, so I don't have.
I don't think you would die from.
I have
being
doubts
stung
about
by
their
bees.
intelligence.
You can if there's
As
a lot of them.
It's
I have
and
doubts
it's
about your
one eye.
intelligence.
and it's winter, so the bees can't really
hibernating.
escape their hive without have a high risk of dying. They can't survive in the cold elements of winter. So they're charged with. They're luckily minors, otherwise they'd be charged with 3 felonies, which is criminal mischief, offenses to an agricultural animal facility, and burglary, as well as an aggravated misdemeanor for possessing burglary tools. So, and honestly, that's 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. So I'm not sure. They won't disclose their names, and it doesn't say what happened to them. I don't think they've been charged yet, but I hope that that comes out soon.
Should
Big
be
news in Iowa.
execution.
Capital punishment.
Execution's not a bad solution.
Public execution.
Execution by bees.
Yeah,
Revenge
that
of the bees.
that
Wouldn't that kill the bees though?
You could have that Nicolas Cage moment in that movie where the bees are let into that mask he's wearing, and you guys haven't seen
Not the bees.
it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, Donald, what story do you have for us?
Yeah, so I've been tracking the United Kingdom recently, and there's an epidemic happening. There's not enough chickens, so KFC. I know. So KFC, global superpower, cannot serve their customers, and they had to close 900 outlets in Britain alone because there is not enough chickens to serve, and they, quote, will not compromise on quality. So they had to close the restaurants, focus their efforts on the hubs of KFC, and hopefully survive this shortage.
It's nice to see that somebody in the food industry has values and morals.
Yes, exactly. KFC isn't selling out.
Julius, did somebody in the food industry wrong you or something?
Sort of.
That honestly seems
I was
more
4
interesting
years
than
old.
this.
I had a Happy Meal, and I didn't get Sid the Sloth.
McDonald's classic.
Is there any other? Is it just KFC that's having a shortage of chicken?
Probably anyone else that serves chicken.
Yeah, like Chick-fil-A.
Or
Does
love
UK
that-
have Chick-fil-A?
I don't
That's
think so.
another.
Love that chicken at Popeyes, you know?
But that,
UK
that,
does definitely not have Popeyes.
Yeah, definitely not.
that problem is similar to the one that Japan had a couple years ago, where they didn't have enough potatoes. So McDonald's couldn't get enough potatoes,
The
so
old-
they.
Or Ireland?
The old Japanese potato famine.
Of course, hailing back to whenever when was
They
it?
ended up serving half portions of fries, but they didn't set a restriction on how much you could buy. So you could just buy as many fries as you want, but you only got a half serving for the full price.
So they made twice as much money.
Probably, yeah.
That's decent.
That's pretty
Good
smart,
business.
I just pretend like the famine never ended.
I just
Raise
buy
the prices
I
even
buy
more.
2 anyways. Okay, moving on to Scout.
Podcast is garbage.
Are we going?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so this week on rating a notable Homo sapien, we're not actually rating a notable Homo sapien because it was pretty bad. I'll be honest.
Psych.
So we're comparing a couple Homo sapiens.
In
We're
a
comparing.
fight to the death.
Yes.
And we're going to watch it, and you can hear.
I don't know if we're comparing them physically, as Brennan suggests, or if we're just comparing them as people. But we're going to be comparing Mark Zuckerberg, who you already know, and Evan Spiegel, the inventor of Snapchat and the youngest billionaire at some point. I don't actually know if he still is. But what do you guys think of those fellers?
Don't really know who Evan Spiegel is. I know what Snapchat is, so I think Mark Zuckerberg wins because I know who he is.
Yes, but I think Evan Spiegel's young and relatable because he was at one point the youngest billionaire. So.
Just like me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I relate really closely with this guy who has a net worth of $4.3 billion.
I feel like we could be friends in real life.
Yes, and then he could buy me things just like friends do.
Yeah.
No, but Mark Zucker. Mark Zuckerberg is definitely not a robot, just like me. So we could relate pretty well.
I can't relate then.
Yeah, I'm out.
Mark
You
Zucker-
know, Evan Spiegel is a 90s kid as well, so that's extremely
Ooh.
relatable.
Shout out to my 90s
For-
kids.
So he knows everything.
So Julius could probably relate to him, seeing as he's born in 1992.
Back when we had DVDs. Was it VCR? Sorry,
We had-
VCR.
You're almost 30, Julius.
Oh, going down to the Blockbuster.
Yeah. I remember Blockbuster.
All right, so who takes the cake for you guys? Evan Spiegel or Mark Zuckerberg?
Zuck.
Okay, in a fight to the death, I do think Evan Spiegel would win. Purely because of his
Age.
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg's got 6 years on him, although that is 6 years of experience. So.
And strength, and he's a robot.
And he's got an Asian wife, so he probably knows kung fu or something.
I was lying earlier. Mark Zuckerberg is a robot. He will win.
It's a cyborg.
Yeah, I don't think we're sure on Evan Spiegel's status as a human being or a robot.
Is he real?
Does Evan Spiegel have a movie made about him?
He looks real.
Wikipedia says he's real, but my teachers say don't use Wikipedia, so I honestly have no idea what to believe at this point.
I'm gonna go with the Zuck because I have Facebook stocks, so he has to be better.
Julius?
Yeah, I've had Facebook longer than Snapchat because it's existed longer. So.
All right.
Facebook has games.
I'm going with my boy Evan Spiegel because you guys didn't. So.
Evan Spiegel doesn't have Farmville on his
Is he related to
social
Lillian?
media.
I'm sorry, whatever that pirate game is. What?
Pirate game?
And Facebook almost bought Snapchat, so
That's
they are
true.
superior.
And Snapchat's losing money.
And
Fun fact.
Yes.
I'm sticking with my boy
unsurprised.
Spiegel.
And the update is trash, so.
All right, Brennan, it is time for your big belligerent brain buster.
Okay, things are going a little different today than they have in the past, as thought experiments are a dying breed. So
Bust.
we're just gonna have to put him down now, while we're still ahead, mildly. And I have found an abundance of questions that I think will last us through the winter.
Red
so,
or blue?
The winter's
So it's
almost
gonna
over,
go.
you
It's
dipshit.
gonna go a little different. Thank you, Julius. It is going to go a little different than before. We're going to be asking a few questions that may not be related, and I'll only ask another one if the discussion's kind of dead on it, or maybe we'll get one good question that lasts the whole time. Let's see where it goes.
Odds of that happening? Not very high.
Yeah, I have strong doubts. We may run
Looks
through
like we'll
all
have a
these
lot of
today.
questions.
Okay. So, how do you guys think humanity would change if the human life expectancy changed to be longer, as much as 500 years?
Moving on. No.
I think.
What kind of impact do you think that would have?
Would we still be in like the same physical state? So like, you know how like when people are like old, they can't move as fast. Would it be the same case where they couldn't move as fast?
I think you would
Would
just.
they get slower and slower, or would
The-
they still be as active as like if they were like 200, let's say, because that's half their age?
I'm going to say make it proportional to an 80-year-old life. So once you're in your 400s, that's when you're starting to become elderly. But when you're 200 years old, you're only like 30 or 40.
Overpopulation.
Yeah, or just not very many babies, which is.
But I also think we have to look at the fact that there are extremely intelligent people who at times, like Stephen Hawking, if he lived for another 100 years, imagine what he could do with that amount of time with a mind like his.
So I don't know what he's done so far.
Well, no, because like a 40-year-old person doesn't know how to use a phone as well as like a 5-year-old person. So like brains like people become out of date. Like new generations like come
They have
along.
500 years to figure it out.
Like if you brought back Einstein, he'd freak out at over half the stuff.
Yeah, but we're not
that
bringing
happened.
people back to life. It's
No, but
just,
I'm saying they get
And they
outgrown by
stay-
people who are born. You know?
and they stay young longer.
Yeah, at that point you'd have
So-
like 60 years of schooling,
Yeah.
which would be kind of rough, you know. Have a summer break every 4.5 years.
That lasts like a year or two.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, do you guys think that would propel us forward, hold us back, keep us in the same kind of
I think on a personal level it'd be fantastic.
That'd be pretty cool.
It would make it really sad though when people died, because instead of missing, like if you die when you're 40, you miss out on 40 years. If you die when you're 40, you miss out on
460.
460 years. So that's like,
Yeah, dying young would be pretty unfortunate.
yeah.
You'd forget. Do you think you'd forget your friends? Like, I had a friend until I was 90, and he died, and now I'm 300. Would I still remember him?
Maybe our brains would be proportionally
Well,
be
I
way
forget
smarter.
friends I've had already, and I'm 17, so.
I forget friends I had yesterday.
Yeah, would it be harder to make friends?
Okay, here's another question.
That's the real question.
Imagine, so if freedom is something as simple as doing what you want, are animals more free than humans?
No.
Okay, please elaborate.
I think their dull brains restrict them, and their stupidity.
They're tethered to instinct. Like,
Do they have Snapchat?
I have to go eat now. Not, do I want to eat? And then they're like, no, I'm going to go hungry tonight so I can eat earlier in the morning. They don't do that. They're like, I'm hungry. I need to eat. And then they go kill something.
And if they fail, they die.
Yes. That is.
That's kind of a tether, you know. You can't.
Yeah, that's a real limiter.
You can't go to the park when you're dying of starvation.
But we as humans have big laws. Like, if I want to be a murderer, I'm kind of in a way not free if I can't do that because it's what I want, because I will be imprisoned, and then I am restricted by doing what I want. What if I want people to know too?
It's like the laws of nature.
Survival of the fittest. So Donnie, bye-bye.
Hey.
He doesn't cut it to be the fittest. Okay, how about this one? Is it possible to prove that people other than yourself have consciousness? Is there a way you can think of to prove
Well,
that?
not Scott. He's a robot.
You're all imaginary.
Yes, yeah. No, that's a no.
No?
I'm just, yeah.
Whichever answer gets us out of this question faster.
All of you guys are in my head, and I'm scared.
Yeah. I personally think that it's a lot to do with if the same way we don't know of a way to prove whether a computer has perfect AI. You know what I mean? Is we can't prove whether another person is conscious. The same way you can't prove if a computer has a consciousness. I think if we can figure out a way to do that for a computer, we can figure out a way for each other. It's just since we're so identical in our behaviors and the way we look, we just assume that we're all conscious because you know that you yourself are conscious.
Settle
So
down
you
there,
assume
old
it
timer.
about
Holy
everyone
frick.
else.
You gotta tell us about the war next.
That's my 2 cents on it, or 40 cents, or how many cents that equates to.
In Canadian.
Okay.
cents.
Last question: what is the difference between revenge and justice?
Revenge doesn't take due process or something like that. I don't
Is
know.
that in law?
Justice.
Yeah, yeah.
Justice is not served cold.
Wait, no, I watched that in a movie, I think. Because there was this dude, he was a bounty hunter, and he said he likes to take them to the courts instead of just shoot them in the back, because then it's justice, not revenge, or something. I'm not sure.
So the movie is dictated
so
the moral
yeah.
Justice,
answer.
like, you deserve to die, but
take-
revenge would be that the other people get to see you suffer.
Yeah, I like to take all of my moral values from movies and Hollywood. So
Well, I would say, can you get revenge and justice in the same package?
A little 2 for 1.
A little 2 for 1, two birds, one stone. You know what I mean? I think because if you can, then is there really a difference?
Well, if you can shoot the person, if somebody kills somebody and you can shoot them yourself, then he'd be dead because he deserved to die, and then you get your revenge because you killed the person for killing somebody that you liked. Imagine that.
That's how you feel about it?
wow.
That's how I feel about you.
Okay.
Oh, a little,
Okay.
little sting there.
Julius may have a short moment of like stress leave for the next few episodes, but
Hello, 911.
Julius,
Yes, he's still here.
we're gonna be moving on to you for your noise zog. So please take us away.
So I know that you guys haven't liked my newest inventions too much. The camera seems to fail. It's attacking against my person, not my.
I feel like I was having a bad day.
Stupid.
In hindsight, I feel like I was having a bad day in hindsight.
So this time, I hope I don't cry after this episode. There's this new thing invented by Japanese people, of course, which is called human Uber, which means you put a screen on somebody else's face. So you hire somebody to walk around for you with an iPad on their face, and you're on Skype on the other end. And as they walk around, you get to interact with everybody that you want to, without having to actually be there.
So you could like hire someone and then just do like ridiculous things in public, or like tell them to do ridiculous things in public.
So
it's
they
like
turn
a-
your screen off. And they
Oh
won't
yeah,
notice.
do they do
Like, do they do
physically with their
anything you
arms
said?
and legs the same things that
No,
you
no.
want
So
them to do?
basically, if you had a family reunion and you didn't want to actually go, you weren't able to actually go, you could hire somebody in that city to put an iPad on their face, walk over to your family reunion, and then you spoke into the computer with the face cam and everything, and it would project it to them.
So it's like an online hitman.
So it's literally someone carrying an iPad around with you on Skype.
Yeah, but they have it covering their face. which
Yeah,
is
how
weird.
do they see?
There's a camera on the side. Yeah, see, there's a camera on the side. There's a phone there.
They have a rear view
So are they
mirror.
wearing like VR goggles or something?
They're wearing a VR goggles.
So you could like hire someone, go like, hey, like go into like Times Square, punch 10 people in the face, and they do it.
No, it's not like
Oh,
that. But
oh.
it's more for like human interaction
Oh,
with other
That's
people.
interacting.
Wait, but the iPad plays like sound outside.
Yeah, so it's like a speaker. It's basically just an iPad stuck on your face, and I say, okay, you go to this class that I can't go to, and you'll basically be there, but you're sitting at the other end of a computer.
And you can just scream and interrupt the class, or
Yeah, but they might just turn off your iPad. Just
Okay,
press the button on top.
But then that's the same as killing you.
what's the cost? Like, how much is there any
So this is
figure for cost?
This is like a new idea. It's only been developed last week. Can you stop doing that, Scott?
it's time to move. Just kidding. We like to go overtime to incorporate Julius into the podcast when he has something to say.
Nothing wrong with going over time.
Okay. Well, this is this project.
Uh,
Well, this product was developed by a Sony computer science laboratory.
Lavatory?
Wait,
As in a toilet?
laboratory. I'm sorry, I speak.
To touch back, I think when I said it's okay to go over time, we lost half of the listeners. They,
Ha!
What?
this could go on for hours, you guys. It'll be great.
We'll
Okay.
be here all day.
No, we can't. I have to take a picture in a couple minutes. Just getting an hour.
Oh,
I got more
poor
than enough
you.
time. Okay, well, anyway, we're gonna move it on to Brandon's top 10 because this time I destroyed.
I was enjoying that. I wouldn't buy it, but it sounds kind of neat.
It's you don't buy a human being. It's the concept.
I definitely wouldn't use that.
If I can't purchase them, then why
If,
would
like,
I?
if, again, like no punching people in the face. Like
What?
if they don't do things for you.
Yeah, if I can't use them as a hitman,
Yeah.
You can go on the dark web and just. Is it dark web or deep web? I don't even know. Dark web, right?
One of those.
I think
Either-
I think
both
they're
work.
they
Deep dark
both
web.
exist.
They
Deep
both
dark
exist.
web.
Well,
Extra
you
dark.
can hire somebody on there to be your hitman, but like.
Yeah, but then they don't have an iPad strapped to their face.
Or
Now
you
do
could
they?
you could have like a requirement that they. Or
It's like
you
it's
could-
like when you're ordering a pizza from Domino's. It's like special request. It's like, can you please like live stream you killing this person on my Instagram account? Oh, that's actually a sick idea.
Yeah, that's a wonderful idea, Don. You should definitely do that.
Hey, you know what? Maybe they could incorporate this with the 360-degree camera that I presented last week.
Yeah, we should. We should strongly consider cutting everything we've been saying for the last minute and a half.
Okay, we'll just move on to Brandon's top 10.
That's what we tried to do.
Yeah, you continue talking. Okay, top 10. Moving on.
So this top 10 is going to be on dogs. I hear there are a lot of big fans of dogs all over the world, and And so I thought this would be a good one for us. I'm not actually in agreement with a lot of the picks. Maybe you guys are. And there's a short description for each kind of dog. So if you're not familiar with the name, which I'm not familiar with all, there's also pictures I can show. So number 10 is a Dachshund.
Is this
Oh, it's a
best dogs or
Dachshund.
worst dogs or just top 10 dogs?
Just top 10 dog breeds.
Oh.
Most iconic.
Which is a short-legged, long-bodied hound-type dog breed with floppy ears and short fur.
So cute.
It has
Comes in a
4
variety of
legs
colors.
and a face.
You see it?
Oh, it's a wiener dog.
Yeah, maybe.
It looks
It's
like a wiener
small. It's pinnacle.
It's not hypoallergenic, so I can't have that one.
dog. Oh, one.
Oh,
yeah.
thank.
That thing is definitely a wiener dog.
Yeah, wiener dog.
Those dogs have back problems because of their
Wiener.
wiener.
Number 9.
These are wieners.
Number 9 is a Rottweiler, which I think has kind of a face, like looking straight at it, it kind of looks like a human being, which is a little weird to me.
It looks
It's
like
a
its name is.
domestic dog breed, medium to large size, and they're butcher's dogs, and
Yeah.
they were used to herd livestock.
It looks like a middle-aged man.
The
Yeah,
puppies
it
are probably the
doesn't look-
cutest thing I've seen though.
They're
They're pretty cute.
The
all
puppies
dogs are pretty cute when they're puppies.
Yeah, but this really takes the cake, doesn't it, Brandon?
Chihuahuas.
Obviously not. It's number 9.
Yeah, you're comparing dogs, not puppies. Okay.
They have the 9th best puppies.
Hey, this one's for you.
This one's number 1 puppy.
But he's not. An American Pit Bull Terrier is number 8.
Rawr.
Medium size, solidly built, short-haired dog.
Oh, thank you, Julius. If this is me.
Early ancestors
Solidly
came from the
built.
British Isles. Here's a picture.
Oh, those things
I'd
are.
like to see.
It's a massive tongue.
Yeah, that's a tongue and a half right there.
That's what she said.
Like most dogs.
Okay, Julius.
Whoa, reel it in. Family friendly.
Number 7 is a pug. We're all pretty familiar with that one. Check out this picture.
Can't they like
It
not
looks
breathe?
mortified.
I've
Like
heard
snoring.
pugs suck at breathing. Like they
And
actually.
they're all
They just, like,
cross-eyed.
snot all the time.
No, like
as
they
well.
have.
It's so
They actually
weird.
have like respiratory problems.
And they all have a lazy eye.
Breathing is an important thing I like in my dogs. I
Yeah.
like them to be able to breathe.
Typically, you know.
picky. They all have lazy eyes, though. They're all like look extremely
Number
stupid.
6 is
They're
a
all
border
adorable.
collie. Is that how I say that?
Border collie.
Border
Hey,
collie.
Google it.
Yeah, which is herding dog.
Oh,
Oh,
Anglo-Scottish border region as where they're
that's a cute.
Yes.
developed.
It's like
Very
every
cute.
dog in like
This
movie.
is it's
It's like Lassie. You guys
Yeah.
heard of Lassie?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
It's,
I like
it's
this.
like the
Inspirational.
Lassie dog.
solid dog.
If
Okay.
by the way, if a beagle isn't number 1,
Number
we're
5
gonna
is
have
a
problem.
beagle.
Oh!
I thought you found the list.
So small-sized hound, similar in appearance to the much larger foxhound.
How can that not be number
So
1?
it has
That is
very
so
good
cute.
sense of smell, even compared to most other dogs.
I'm looking at pictures right now. How can that not be number 1?
I've been looking.
Yes, he looks them up.
They're kind of cute. I know he looks them up, but I want him to. I just,
See,
I just want you guys to see what I'm looking at.
Can
so
they
we're,
breathe?
We're all on the same page.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think
that's
they
good.
breathe.
That's solid.
Look at it!
Breathing is part of their agenda.
Oh my god.
Number 4 is a Siberian Husky, medium in size, dense coat,
Siberia is Russia and therefore
originating
bad.
from Siberia.
It's a communist.
Yeah. It's a
one of those dogs that
communist
can have-
husky.
It's one of those dogs that kind of blue eyes, which I think is kind of
Oh,
cool.
all these ones have like different colored eyes. That looks dope.
That's popular. People.
That looks
I don't think it's very common though.
Well,
for
it's
them to
pretty
have
common on
colored eyes.
Google.
It's common on Google Images. I can tell you
Google
that much.
says so, then it's got to be true.
Okay, number 3, a golden retriever, which for me was the dog I've always had. I've always had golden retrievers.
That's like a classic.
consistent.
Like that's
So-
the dog you think of when you think of dog.
I
So
haven't.
large-sized, bred as gun dogs, so to retrieve like birds and stuff after you shoot them, or ducks.
But after you
kind of
shoot
bird.
it,
Yeah, with it. No, after
Oh.
shoot the bird.
Shoot the dog.
Shoot the bird.
Okay, go get yourself.
yeah.
So name retriever because they can retrieve. They're very good at retrieving whatever you've shot without damaging it.
Wait.
Although you've already shot it, so
Are they called golden because they're golden as well?
I have
No.
never thought about that.
No, no,
Oh my god.
Did you know that there's
No.
such thing as a Labrador Retriever?
No, it's because they come in first place for retrieving. They are not silver retrievers.
Do they come first place in gold?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh,
Wait.
Number 2,
Okay.
Labrador Retriever.
Oh,
Oh, that's a lucky coincidence.
Oh, I believe it is second or Labrador place.
Type of Labrador. It's a Labrador, obviously. Type of retriever dog.
What about
One of the most
Labradoodle?
popular dog breeds in
Look
the
up
United Kingdom
Labradoodle.
and the United States.
What about Labradoodle?
That's my dog.
Doodle.
Awesome.
Well, your dog's not on this list, Julius.
my dog
Unless
is-
it's number one.
I've owned 2 dogs in my life,
I
and I
think
haven't
number
heard
one's a
either
German
of them
Shepherd.
yet. So
You have the
haven't
meme
heard.
dog, don't you?
I
Do you have a corgi?
3/4 Shiba Inu, and it's a beautiful thing. It should be number 1.
You know what else is a beautiful thing? You.
Beagles.
Oh, I knew it.
A number one, a German Shepherd.
Yeah, go Germany.
Big
Number
dog,
One.
got the pointed ears.
Oh, yeah, those are
Guard dogs.
pretty solid.
I snapped
cool.
those
Yeah.
necks in Call of Duty.
Consistent. Okay. You know,
Yeah, they like tackle you and they're like, oh no, and then you,
they're pretty consistent.
and then
you
they
know?
strap C4 to them.
That's pretty graphic.
It's Call of Duty.
Maybe that's why they made number one on the list.
It's just a
'Cause
video
of their,
game, guys.
Their versatility.
Yeah.
Great for. I recommend them for snapping dogs.
Yeah.
necks.
You know, I think I'd dock up a
great
couple
neck to
points
stab.
because they're German.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, for sure. Like,
I think I'd focus.
they made it in despite that,
I'd
but it
focus.
was close.
Yeah, well, that just really shows the true amazingness of this dog, is that it can make it in with
with German
yeah,
descent.
yeah. That's
Hey,
interesting.
American military uses it. I mean, come on.
That's an American.
Despite
Shepherd,
it being German.
It's called a German Shepherd.
Yeah, like that's just so impressive.
It's efficient.
Okay. So, we're going to be moving on to our next segment. Scott, what's going on this week in history?
Okay, so I'm really excited to share this with you guys this week.
Birthday noise.
All right, so let's get into it. On Sunday, the 18th of February, because that is what week it is. In 1977, it's not the. I said week, not day, Don. The space shuttle took off on its maiden flight.
Voyage.
It says flight.
Voyage.
Your
Just
notes say flight.
Yeah, my notes say flight. To
Well-
space.
Your notes are.
Well, it flies, so.
But it's a
It
voyage.
also voyages.
Does oh, sorry for the confusion.
All right, and also in 1954, wonderful day, the Church of Scientology was established.
Hey, Thomas. Yeah.
Booyah.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Go, Tom
I
Cruise.
guess.
Go team.
And then on Tuesday the 20th, this one I found really interesting. In 1913, they began to build Australia's capital city. Can you guys guess what Australia's capital city is?
The Outback.
Sydney.
Canberra.
Yeah, Canberra.
It's-
Apparently they had to choose either Sydney or Melbourne, and they
Chose neither.
and they chose to compromise and just build a new city and call it the capital.
Well, they
Fun
called
fact about
it. They didn't
Canberra.
call it the capital. They called it.
They had a contest to see who could design the city.
Oh, I see
And of course, an American won. Architect.
Yes.
Uh,
Yet another success.
But I just thought,
Donald, you're half a Canadian. Don't look at me like that.
He's full Canadian. What are you talking
Okay,
about?
okay, then only one chess beat.
Nice.
but I just thought it was really weird how they just built a new city to be their capital.
I see why Scott chose the Australia
we
one
got income,
because
we got
this
income.
next one is really impressive.
That was like a horror movie. Did you see that guy pass along the curtains?
That
His
was
shadow.
that was terrifying. But you know what's less terrifying? Wednesday, the 21st of February, in 1848, when Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels published the Communist Manifesto. Friedrich.
Does that mean that Karl Marx is a communist?
That's my conspiracy.
All right, so yeah, that started a little bit of a
A little bit of a
movement.
trend.
Little trend, you know, set the bar.
Shout
you
out to
know.
my boy Klassen.
Is that everything for the week?
That is everything for the week, actually.
That was boring.
That's an
So-
exciting week. That's
The
actually
invention of communism
Yeah, I
was
thought it was
boring,
a good-
Julius.
that was a pretty exciting week, I think.
I thought it was a good week.
It was a
you
good
know.
week.
Not terrible, you know. But you know it's not terrible. Well, it might be. Donald's Kooky Conspiracy. Ooh.
I'm gonna let you sit there and think about what you've done.
I see.
Okay, so was, as I usually do, browsing higher science. And I just happened to stumble upon this Russian probe that happened to fail on its way through space. And then my brain had an epiphany. It was like, what if it didn't fail? What if it was shut down because it was a biological weapon that was meant to be used against either humans on Earth or aliens on Mars? And then they like second guessed themselves and they didn't want to kill people.
You're saying the Russians?
Holy shit! According.
Okay, I was about to say, is there any evidence at all?
Yes. According to Reuters, I believe it is pronounced.
Reuters.
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 According to Reuters. Ironic, since Russians do roid.
Oh, that's an Olympics joke right there.
Medvedev said on the weekend that recent failures are a strong blow to our competitiveness, and they need to carry out a detailed review of the spacecraft that happened to fail. And he said, I'm not suggesting putting them up against a wall like under Joseph Stalin, but he wants to severely punish, either financially or, if the fault is obvious, it could be a disciplinary. I don't even know what this means.
To the
actually.
gulags. They're sending the guys who made the robot to the gulags because it failed.
Yeah, okay. Here's some solid evidence right here. A retired general named Grunt said that the country's ballistic missile early warning system wasn't up to par, so we wanted to send a biological weapon against the United States in Russia.
What are you talking about, Donnie?
This is really all over the place.
Maybe you should have read it.
No,
before,
I know. No, I'm still. I read the whole thing. I'm still.
So you're saying the
confused.
Russians were
Yeah.
the Russians' defenses weren't good enough, so they wanted to attack the United States by attacking themselves.
They just call up United States. They're like, "Hey, can you attack us? We want to test out our defenses." You know. Jesus.
Nice.
Yeah, they really didn't think this through.
You didn't think this through.
I don't think you thought that.
No, like try and read this.
That's your job, dude.
I tried. I did my best.
Why, when I did my best last week, everyone just pooped all over me. No one cared.
Yeah,
That's
talk
me
to
every
Julius
week.
about that one.
At least Julius is actually coherent when he does
Okay,
it.
here we go. There's 3 solid possible conspiracy theories within this own conspiracy. One of them is the probe was designed to cause a massive disaster on Earth, which is what I said.
Dope.
Second one is it was bound for Mars's moon Phobos, and it was sabotaged by the powers that be who want to cause a disaster on Earth, so they redirected its potential threatening power towards Earth. And the third is that it was a weapon used against aliens who have hollowed out Mars's moon Phobos to create a space station. Russia has been waging an interplanetary Cold War against these aliens for the past 40 years, and this explains the incredibly low success rate for the country's mission to Mars, a record of failure so marked that has been dubbed the Mars Curse.
Oh my God.
I like that last one.
That last one makes so much sense.
It's funny because the war with aliens who have hollowed out a moon is the one that makes the most sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing saying about this war ending, so Russia is fighting Mars.
What if the U.S. got into an allegiance with Russia and then they fought the aliens together?
There hasn't been an allegiance like that since World War II.
Yes.
There wasn't even an allegiance like that.
What if the U.S. and like Russia's like, oh my God, technology. What if the U.S. is so far advanced that Russia thinks that they're aliens, but the U.S. is really already hollowing out Mars with a space station? America.
You're Canadian. Shut up, Donnie.
I'm American. I have an American passport.
Yeah, because you lived there. That doesn't make you American.
Where were you born, Donald?
Canada.
Oh, really? That's a little kind of a funny coinky-dink, don't you think?
I'm both.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is that even possible?
Clearly.
The lines seem a little blurred to me.
He's just a bandwagon.
You're just a bit. That's right, Julius. Look at this loser.
Yeah. Ain't even loyal.
He's trying to impress us with conspiracies about Russia. What? In a probe? Do you hear yourself?
Hey, Donnie, what if Russia just sucks at making probes? How about that?
It has gone out of hand. Can we finish this, please? This is horrible.
I really enjoyed that conspiracy, though. In all honesty,
it was a funky one.
I had a great deal of fun. I'm in a positive mood right now.
Well, that's about to change because we're moving on to Brandon's wacky story.
It's whack.
it's a whack story. If we're not gonna get it right, I'm just not gonna do it. It's not worth it.
Brandon, you're doing it right now.
Hey, everybody! So we got a whack story today.
It's whack.
It's whack. Okay, so my whack story is about teenage governors in Kansas.
That's pretty whack.
It's pretty whack. Let me tell you why. So, Kansas doesn't have laws surrounding the age restrictions of governors. So
whack.
at any age above 18, I believe, because of other laws.
So they have an age
So they
restriction.
do have laws.
No, they don't. That's laws for other things because you're not an adult, so you can't get an official something.
Oh, that's falling apart pretty quickly.
But the government hasn't made laws about who can hold office. So as long as you meet those other requirements unrelated
To your age?
Well, they have.
then you
have
can.
to be over 18.
So there's an 18-year-old Connor Shelton at the University of Delaware from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Do you notice that he doesn't live in Kansas? Because they don't have laws about where you have to be a resident of to be the governor of Kansas. So this Pennsylvania resident that is 18 years old, studying at university, is, I believe, it says here that he's studying some sort of science. Amazing.
Real go-getter.
Yeah, he's an amazing fella. But he's just he's described it as an experiment of sorts as to why. But he's the 8th person to be a teenager and try to be not the president, but the governor.
7.
Oh, is it 7th?
6 other teens have entered the race, but Shelton is the first who isn't from Kansas.
I think that's how Barack
There are
Obama
8.
became president.
So
Yeah, it kind of sounds like my man Barack. Not even
He
from
wasn't
America.
even from America.
So I'm actually really hoping, although the odds are virtually zero, that one of these teenage people, especially this guy who's not even from Kansas, becomes their governor.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
We're in Pennsylvania.
Well, evidently he is.
He is in Kansas, Julius. Just so you know.
We're not in Pennsylvania anymore.
He's actually not even just running for governor. He's also running for Secretary of State of Kansas.
He's also running from the Popo.
I don't think that's in the article.
No.
He's also a real go-getter, as we established.
Yes, which would indicate
That's the priority.
not running from the police.
The police are running from him.
End it.
I'm glad we've had such a good
I think this is our
end
longest
to the
podcast ever, which is ironic considering
not.
our.
It's actually not because we have to cut so much garbage out that was said before.
We're not cutting anything.
Yeah, Notch.
All natural.
Okay, we actually.
Julius, if we don't cut anything, I don't think this podcast will ever be heard.
Let's go for an hour, baby. So how was your day?
Well, I had a great time, you guys. Hopefully we won't have to do this again.
Yeah, but
I'm
we do
switching
have to do
fine
it again.
arts.
Oh.
We're stuck in this fine art now.
Then I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah! Hallelujah. Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay, so our tip Julius, what is wrong with you? This is why you only have one segment.
Okay, just start it right away. So